Hey everybody. Let's talk about this modulator section, and it's complicated enough that we're just going to talk about the low frequency oscillator right now. First of all, I'm just going to initialize this, meaning I'm going to just set it to its like basic setting. Okay, so we're back to our sine wave here. Okay, and I'm actually going to make that into a sawtooth wave. Just okay. So when you modulate something, you can always substitute, especially when we're talking about sound, you can substitute the word change. So if you're modulating the pitch, it means you're changing the pitch. If you're modulating the filter, it means you're just changing the filter. So modulators are kind of like changers. I know that in music we use the word modulation specifically to mean a change in key. But in music production, when we use the word modulate, we're basically talking about taking one parameter and changing it, usually using using some other kind of generator, some other kind of parameter or something like that. So the low frequency oscillator is another oscillator just like these three. However, while these three oscillators work as in audio speeds, right? So like 19 hertz all the way up to 20,000 hertz, those oscillators are going to operate in the audio range, notes that we can hear as pitches. Low frequency oscillator is going to go very slowly compared to that. So it's going to top off at about 300 hertz, and it's going to go all the way down to like 0.01 hertz, which is extremely slow. That's kind of moving up, moving one wave might take, I don't know, what would that be? 100 seconds, right? So something, it would take a full minute and a half for it to do one cycle. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to take this low frequency oscillator, and it's just going to go up and down. So let's put it at about 1 per second. I'm going to put this at 1 hertz. Okay, double click, put 1, yoink. All right, so now, and we can decide what shape the low frequency oscillator is in using this, what waveform it is. This is actually almost the same as this. And then we can decide how fast it's going to go. Basically, it's like we're tuning it, right? Higher frequency, lower frequency. Sync we'll talk about in a second, and trigger we'll talk about in a second. So if we use this to change, the best way to see this is in a demonstration. If we use the low frequency oscillator to change the pitch of oscillator 1, and it's not clear that it's changing the pitch, it just says oscillator 1, but it's going to change the pitch. What happens is, as I play this note, here's my C, nothing's happening because there's no depth to it. Do you hear how it's just taking the pitch and going up and down and up and down in the exact form of this wave? A triangle wave is going to sound a little bit similar. Okay, it actually has a little bit of a sharper turn at the top and bottom, but it's pretty hard to tell the difference. This is going to, the sawtooth wave is going to go doo, 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 like that. Or the other way. Okay, so we can speed it up too. Here's the rate. All right, and then this wave is going to have high pitch, low pitch, and it's just going to go like that. Let's see if we can make it a tritone. Pretty close. You can also put exactly how far you want that to go. Okay, so let's go back to our sine wave. Okay. So this is actually, this is a random wave, which is can be really useful for making sounds. So we can use this to modulate. We can use this low frequency oscillator to modulate the pitch of oscillator 1. Oscillator 2 and oscillator 3 work the same way. We can also change the filter. So watch this. If I press filter, okay, so you can hear that it's kind of taking this sound, right? Let's turn this off. It's taking this sound and like that. It's just moving the filter back and forth, right? We can also change the pulse width modulation. pulse width modulation. This right here is called a pulse wave. And basically you can change the size of this, of like how long it goes before it switches up and down. So sometimes you'll have a narrow pulse width, sometimes you'll have a wide pulse width. So this will actually kind of change the sound to be more hollow and a little less hollow. Okay, so it's kind of changing, it's changing the actual waveform. All right, so we can get lots of different ways to to modulate the sound using this low frequency oscillator. So low frequency oscillators can give you a lot of options in changing your sound. All right, we'll talk about the filter and the amplitude envelopes in future videos.